Professor Tchoua.
How are you?
Pretty good. Yourself?
It's the weekend. So I'm excited because the weekend is time to like slow down and you know.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah.
Man,
Since you have your mic, I guess I should put up mine. Hold on
Wait.
for a sec.
you're coming through pretty clear.
Okay, cool. Cool.
I don't have the cool earbuds, so I'm going with this one.
Oh.
I've noticed a lot of people use them, and I was like, man, they're pretty effective.
Yeah. Yeah, I have this. I just have this mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the Yeti?
Yes.
Gotcha. I was
have
like,
Yeti.
I keep seeing people use it. I was like, I might need to get one of those, but I was like, I'll find a way to make this one work. I
Yeah.
got it starting out, and I was like, okay. And I watched a video as someone was talking about tips about how to use the mic properly, like positioning it, talking past it, and not being like far away from it or whatnot. And I was
Right.
like, okay, that makes sense, because
Yeah.
if you don't use it correctly, it doesn't matter how much you spend on it, either $30 or $300. Like,
Right. You
you
have to
can
use
ruin
it
it.
right.
Right. So how's 2021 been for you so far?
It's been eye-opening, I guess, because this is my 11th year being a speech pathologist. And so I'm in this weird season of what's next? Where do I want to take my career?
Right.
And then just diving more into entrepreneurship. So I've been sitting on some things that I need to just go ahead and just do it. So
Right. You want to put it out there to the world, that way it's like, hey, remember back on this day you said,
yeah.
just to keep you accountable.
Yeah. So I've kind of did that with one of my projects. And so now I'm like, I gotta do it now. Like,
nice.
Because people are asking. So yeah.
Very cool. Man. So let me ask you this. I always like to start our chats with this question. Who do you say you are?
Ooh. Who do you say you are? I'm a passionate person. If I can just put in a small nutshell, I'm just a passionate person. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's career-wise or community-wise. I'm just a passionate person. Yeah.
Very nice.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, that's what works. It's like, it doesn't have to be long, elaborate. It's like, if you know, when you know yourself, it's like, that's all it takes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I know you mentioned being a speech pathologist. So can you explain that to me a little bit? I think you explained it the first time we met at David Shan's event. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. I want to know more.
Yeah. So I'm a speech language pathologist, and that is basically a speech language therapist. So we're in the family of physical therapy, occupational therapy. You've heard of that before. But a lot of people hear speech therapy or speech language pathologists in here think that, oh, we teach people how to talk, or you work with people who stutter. But we do way more than that. There are 9 areas that we have to be proficient in. So like voice disorders, swallowing, cognitive delays. So when you have that grandparent with dementia or had a stroke, we work with them. So a lot of different things we do.
Wow.
On top of, little kids with autism, helping them how to talk and communicate and socialize and all of those things. So
Gotcha.
yeah. The job that keeps you on your toes for sure.
How did you get into that?
So in high school, I taught myself sign language.
Mhm.
And when I got into my senior year, I was like, I really don't want to limit myself in being a sign language interpreter. So went to a college fair my senior year and walked up to a school in California. And you know how they are at those fairs for high schoolers. Oh, what's your hobby? What do you want to do? And so when I told her about the sign language and I love working with kids, she was like, oh, you should look into speech language pathology.
Mm.
And never heard of it.
Yeah.
Looked it up and was sold since. And I know that sounds crazy because a lot of people change their majors, but I literally knew from high school, my senior year in high school, when I found out about um, the profession that
Mm.
that's what I wanted to do. Now, had no idea that blacks only make up 3% of the profession, but it did not deter me once I got into it, and I'm like, it's not a lot of people of color around here. Okay, all right,
Mm.
we're just gonna do this, but it forced me to really stay in that because not majority, but a good portion of kids that
Mhm.
struggle with learning disabilities and stuff are kids of color, right?
Mm.
And so I wanted to stay in so that there were more people that look like me.
Gotcha.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's
Hmm.
a great service to do because I guess you could easily become bitter about that in a sense. But
Hmm.
I was just thinking whenever you said not many of us, it's like, hey, but you're in there.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
somehow or another you might go down in history, or just the fact that you're there teaching the younger generation and just making sure that they're you're accessible to them is,
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful thing
Yeah.
because um I remember, like, similar, like you mentioned, just having the exposure to people coming in the like to the career fair in high school and also in college when they do the talks and things like that. You start to see other people like yourself, whether it's just like one or two,
Hmm.
but people that encourage you to say, hey, like, we need more people out here doing these things. And
Right.
I think a beautiful thing social media is doing is it's allowing people to be creative and different in a different sense, where a
Yeah.
lot of structures and systems are very rigid, which
Hmm.
somebody just built them and established them, and it's like, hey, this works for now. But I'm appreciating the fact that people are using things like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook to
Right.
innovate and be like, hey, like, this is how I do things. Like, a couple of friends of mine that are in the STEM fields, they do podcasting and things like that, and they try to um, bring different people on that in those fields and kind of give them a real life perspective of what it's like to be in that field. And of
Hmm.
course you might experience like positive experiences, negative experiences, but it's like, hey, like, it's still worth it if you're passionate about this thing. So
Right.
that's good to see from your side.
Yeah. So my friend and I were, her name is Lauren as well, and we started a podcast called Speech
Nice.
Tea because there are just some things we do not discuss in the Black community.
Mhm.
And one of those things are disabilities and raising a child with special needs. And so we started the podcast to talk about things in our field, but we make sure we define, like, I don't want to say a big word, but if we use like professional jargon,
Mhm.
we always make sure we define it because it's
Mhm.
really not a podcast for speech pathologists.
Right.
It's really a podcast for the Black community. But I know we do have some of our colleagues that listen, but especially our non-Black colleagues, what we're trying to convey is people of different races and cultures have a mindset mentality on disabilities.
Mhm.
So you have to watch your approach in talking to them and interacting with them, not saying you need to coddle them, but at the same time, don't just say, oh, this is their kid's diagnosis, this is what they need, da, 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 da,
Right.
you need
Right.
to do this. And it's
Right.
like, whoa, like you have to take that all in, because in my experience, I've noticed that white people, when their kids get diagnosed, it's like they don't, let me not say that. I won't say they don't go through a grieving process,
Mhm.
but they don't stay in grieving for too long. It's almost like,
Right.
okay, they have cerebral palsy. Okay, they have autism. Let's go find everything we need
Yeah.
to get, but Blacks, Hispanics, Latino, we different. We're like, wait, no, we gonna pray about it. No, Mama said he gonna grow out of that. Like
Mhm.
we don't tackle it the same way.
Right.
And so if majority of the speech pathologists or special education teachers are white,
Mhm.
and they have this mentality like, this is what it is, go forth and be great, and
Mhm.
you're sitting here like, no, I want to go cry.
Mhm.
No, I want to put this on pause. You
Right.
just have to know how to navigate that. And
Mhm.
and so um I I never thought starting a podcast that people would actually listen. We call her, well, we call each other the other Lauren, but my Lauren, my counterpart, it was so funny. She was like, Lauren, even if we only have like one listener, I'll be happy. But it it just really shocked me, just how in a short amount of time we have been able to grow our audience. And I guess what we've been talking about has been great. So
Awesome.
yeah.
That's amazing. I've definitely got to link it in the notes and the description
Yeah.
once this one comes out. And it's
Yeah.
when did you guys start?
August.
Last year?
Uh-huh. August of
Nice.
last year. And we to date only have 19 episodes, but around 1,500 downloads.
Very nice.
So yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
I'm not
you.
only congratulate you for that, but it's like congratulations for staying with it and staying steady. Like I started October of 2019. And then
Mm-hmm.
last year I I kind of paused a little bit. I took the opportunity of the pandemic and used that as an excuse to like slow down per se. But
Yeah.
I got back on it this year and
Yeah.
putting things out regularly since January. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened happened. So
Mm-hmm.
don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
Like you said, like the grieving process. I had I had my grieving period. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
time to put some action to it. And it's like, hey, if you gotta pray, pray. But something that I learned from the men's prayer line that I'm a part of and I get on from time to time is that um somebody brought up a need and they were saying, okay, before we pray, let's talk through this, let's
Mm.
strategize, because it's like,
Yeah.
I think sometimes religion kind of gets caught up in the sense of um, everyone kind of does like sing, song, dance, what you grow up with, what you see, but a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things may not always be explained.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm learning is that everything can't always be explained and expressed. Like some things you just have to learn on your own. And when I really think about it, like especially when it comes to religion or faith or Bible, you're always encouraged, if you at least have the right teacher, to go and read yourself. But it's
Right.
easier to just kind of show up Sunday and be like, "Hey, teach me." Like
Yeah.
tell me what I need
Exactly.
to know. But it's like
Yeah.
as I've learned, it's like it's good to pray. There's a time to grieve, but every day that you get up, you got to put some action into it. You've got to do something. Like
Yeah.
if you don't know, at least get with someone like yourself and get the information to say, okay, this problem is what it is, but if we connect together, here's a plan we can put to work towards something. Because
Yeah.
eventually it's like you said, it's more so, a lot of people would say, in the white culture per se, but as I've met people like yourself through different groups and masterminds, is that it's really a mindset thing. And it's what you
Mm-hmm.
tell yourself, what you accept, all has to do with what you eventually do. So,
Mm-hmm.
and just learning that, that's why I'm open to speaking to with different people and just like, let me see what I can learn. Let me
Yeah.
see who this person is, what they're about. And I just like love the energy that you're bringing forward.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I sometimes I try not to get too detailed in being believer with some of my parents, because I mostly work with kids. Not even mostly, I work with kids. I don't work with adults. But faith without works is dead. That like back in the day, people had Jesus walking around. So he was like, boom, you're healed. Boom, you're good. Boom. But he left us with doctors and specialists and all of these. Why would we have all of these different professions if we wouldn't tap into it? And so, but then you still have the old saying, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. So it's that too. But at the end of the day, I just want people to have the information. Yes, it's a lot. Like I hold my parents' hand a little bit. That's probably why they get sad when I discharge their child. Because like I said, it is a grieving process. So when you have a child, even if they're a late talker, in parents' head, it's like they're not perfect. We have this idea of when we have children, they come out, they're great, there's nothing wrong with them. But if anything's wrong with them, like they have a bad heart or they have some type of delay, whether it's a physical delay or a speaking delay, and we just stay in that grieving stage sometimes a little too long. Or like you said, we'll go to the prayer line and pray for it, but we won't seek out any help. And on our podcast, we talk about that. So probably one of my favorite episodes is called Black Tears, Black Fears. And so we talk about how the Black community is not necessarily afraid of special education, but you don't have to dive into too much research to know that there was a period of time that they were overdiagnosing Black kids in special education. And so knowing that there's a lot of mistrust between the white community and the Black community, just in general, it's really hard to sit in a room full of white people telling you that your child is struggling in reading and math and they need to be put in another classroom. Like it's just hard. It is what it is. But at the same time, you do a disservice to your child if you sit there and be combative and say, oh no, they're fine, leave them where they are. You know what I'm saying? So we have these conversations, or I like to have these conversations to say, okay, where's the middle ground? I get you have this mentality. I get it. I had it. I saw it. I worked in the school system, saw a lot of things that probably shouldn't have happened. But because I can truly say when I was in the school system, I was an advocate. I probably should have said I was a passionate advocate back to your earlier question. But, if I see something like, no, let's look at the whole child. And so I always encourage my parents to don't skip a meeting.
Yeah.
Because if you are not there, they're going to make a decision about your child. So go to the meeting, ask questions. You don't have to sign anything that day. A lot of people don't realize you don't have to sign anything that day because a lot of those meetings are like 2-3 hours long. That's a lot of information to take in. So yeah, one of my parents was like, why don't you just come with me? I was like, no, because I'm not going to be around forever. And you have to learn how to do it all by yourself. But that's why I think it's so important that we raise awareness in these professions that you don't hear about, like special education teacher, speech language pathologist, occupational therapist, vision impairment teacher, deaf ed, all of these services that are in the school system, and even some of them are out of the school system. It's not a lot of I call them melon drops. It's not a lot of melon drops. Okay. And so I know our profession, because I'm a part of the Black Association for Speech Language Pathologists, and we have been, well, COVID kind of messed it up, but
Mhm.
in 2019, we started going to predominantly Black high schools wherever our convention was, whatever
Mhm.
city our convention was in, to promote our profession. Because I remember in college, people like, oh, what's your major? I was like, oh, I'm going to be a speech language pathologist. They were like, we have that here? What is that? Like,
Right. They're like, where'd you find that at?
well, yeah, what is that? And I would get adults. And they were like, what's your major? I was like, oh, speech language pathology. They were like, what are you going to do with that? Become a speech language pathologist. And they were like, oh, okay. They
Right.
know
They
what that
they had
was.
no clue what you're saying.
No clue. No clue. No clue at all. But like you said, with people utilizing social media more, I feel
Mhm.
like my friends and even my family, they really know now, like, or have a better idea of what I
Mhm.
do, because I have been slacking in posting.
Yeah.
But people just know, like one of my friends recently, we were talking and she was like, I just want to let you know you're really doing your thing. And I was like, okay, thanks. Even though I've been a little bit inconsistent, but thank you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's an encouragement to get back to it. And I
Yeah.
know for me, one thing that worked out this year versus last year is just getting back in the habit of doing one thing, whether it's just posting one podcast episode or
Yeah.
doing it once a week, picking a date that works or a time that works, and even working at night and figuring
Mm-hmm.
out, okay, like I like to do it a daily read from Dennis Kimbro's book because
Mm-hmm.
it's been an encouragement to me, and it's teaching me Black history in a sense, like reading the different authors that are doing the quotes at the beginning of the daily read. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know these people. And I guess sometimes it wouldn't be apparent, but maybe you can catch it in my voice that I'm different Black, so to speak, because living in the South, living in Georgia, people are like, where are you from? Like, you're
Yeah.
not from here. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm from Georgia. I like grew up in North Georgia, but obviously like not being born in America or being born in the South, it's like there are some things I still picked up and things that I appreciate about the culture, despite what
Mm-hmm.
other people might see. They're just like, oh, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, watch out, like backwoods. It's like, yeah, there's that, but there's also like Southern hospitality. There's
Yeah.
knowing your neighbors. There's
Yeah.
greeting people with respect, people of age. You call them sir, ma'am, and
Yeah.
other people may be like you're making me feel old. I was like, sorry, like I'm not trying to offend. That's just how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost lost my train of thought as to why I brought that up. But I was saying like in just finding a book to read that just has like a daily reading, a daily word, a
Mm-hmm.
daily thing of motivation or encouragement. That's
Yeah.
something that I kind of use to springboard me to say, okay, I can do this every day because I'm doing it for myself. And
Yeah.
if I record myself speaking and work on editing it, that's like two skills that I'm gaining within like a 30-minute window, depending on
Right.
how long I record or how long it takes me to edit it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can continue to develop this muscle. And I used to be a long distance runner in high school and then
Mm-hmm.
found hurdles and different things like that and became like mid distance. But in being passionate, like you said, and just understanding more of who you are, me
Mm-hmm.
becoming more self aware, it's really helping me to hone into my skill to be like, okay, there's different people, there's different lanes. Like you have people that are more driving, people that are more like gregarious. How would you
Mm-hmm.
say? Like people that are like maybe monotone, people that are slower, people that are like facts based or
Right.
driven. And I
Mm-hmm.
as I've come to find who I am and just be comfortable in that, I'm like, hey, like this works for me. I can
Mm-hmm.
do
Right.
this regularly. If
Mm-hmm.
I have to move across the country or move out of the country as I did before, um, I can maintain this given that I've been doing it for so long and I've made it a part of my day, and it's not having to go out of my way to do something that I might be interested in, but it's like I'm putting too much stuff on my plate. So I
Yeah,
said all that to encourage you to say, I know you can do it, and just be kind to yourself like, hey, okay, I slacked. You were getting
yeah,
over the grieving process like you mentioned, and now
yeah. No,
we're
I just
going
got to
on to
do it.
like
Yeah,
let's decide like, okay, what work can we do? How often can we do it realistically?
yeah,
If it's even like the bare minimum, just do that and show up, because the worst thing that they say, it's like comparison is the thief of joy.
yeah,
And that's one of the things that kind of got me, you get to looking around and be like, oh, Joe Rogan is, it's like, this man's been doing this for over 10 years. Like, it's made
yeah,
a profession out of it. So don't get googly eyed per se and just be like, oh, I need all these things. It's like, that's kind of
yeah,
not the reason why you started doing that.
yeah. And it's funny you say that because I'm battling that right now. So I shouldn't say I'm going to start. I have started
Awesome.
another business to help other speech pathologists or anybody, because I have a friend who's an occupational therapist and she's been asking me tons of questions, but how to start their own private practice, because I have
Nice.
my own private practice. And there is someone in our field
Hmm.
who has made a business out of it. And I've been looking at her like, should I tell her I'm starting mine? Would I
Hmm.
be but it's
Do
funny
it.
because she posts all the time
Hmm.
that she's not in competition with anybody. Like, if there are other people who want to do it, and so but I've just been sitting on it. Like, I did a clubhouse a couple of weeks ago, and people like, oh, I missed it. Are you doing it again? And so I said, okay, I'm gonna do some more. So this upcoming week, I'm doing 3. And my let me tell you, so on Monday, I'm gonna be on Clubhouse with some heavy hitters. And I was like, Lord, how am I in this number? Because I'm still, I don't want to say in fear mode, but let's just call it what it is.
Hmm.
And I haven't really fully started. But the funny thing about it is the Clubhouse is about how it's for speech pathologists and how to basically have side hustles and have other businesses. And I'm like, how did I get added? Because I'm really not there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really
Hey,
not there.
you're there. You said it. You started.
Yeah. And so I told my friend, I was like, I'm supposed to be launching a master class. I keep saying I'm going to launch a master class. She's like, girl, you need to have it together. So when you do that clubhouse on Monday, it's not I'm going to. It's like, here's the information. Here's how to find me. And I'm like, am I? Well, that's true. Because how can I sit here and talk about side hustles when I haven't fully launched that aspect? Like, I've done consultations and made money from that, but like,
Mhm.
obviously doing master classes is like a big thing. And
It's just the title.
yeah, and I just need to do it. Like,
Yeah.
but you look at stuff, it's almost like, also I want to start a t-shirt company. And so it's
Mhm.
like, but no, I need to ship it out. No, why don't you just get one of those websites that do that for you? Like, it's you it's almost like when you have too much information and
Yep.
you're looking at how other people are doing it, and you don't necessarily have to do it that way.
Right.
So that's just where I am.
I got you. I've
But I
been
got to
there.
figure it
I've
out.
been there. I know exactly what you're saying. It's like, on the one hand, I was in this group before where we called it the chameleon call. Is based off of like the disc assessment. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if you're familiar with it, but like,
Hmm.
I've talked about it a couple of times, but like the disc assessment is like a very popular behavioral assessment which talks about the tendencies in the how people behave, whether it's dealing with problems, people, pace, and in their environment.
Hmm.
And we were the pace group, or the S's as they would call them. And um, we have a tendency as being like support role oriented, as being like getting constipated off of information, because it's like you get so much information, you get so many things that you want to try, like this person's doing this person's giving you this advice, that and the other. And it was like, okay, the best way to kind of combat that is to start having like a healthy diet or ration of, okay, this is what I can consume, but then
Mhm.
when I go into production mode, I obviously can't be consuming everyone else's content, because I need to be editing, I need to be reviewing what I'm doing. And for
Mhm.
me, for instance, it's like I'll listen through the podcast after having recorded it to like pull a clip or something
Mhm.
to put out, to be like, hey, here's a preview of the podcast for the week. But I think since episode number 3, like this week was episode 53. But after episode number 3, I was like, yeah, this editing thing, like going through the whole thing, trying to edit it, no, it's not working out for me. Like somebody might think or might tell me, oh, you have a tendency, or you're very organized, you have the ability to do this, you're technical. I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, but not in this case. Like I'm not
Mhm.
doing that. So it's like I know myself enough to know I tried this for a while, it didn't work.
Work.
So
Yeah. That's not
thankfully,
my skill set.
right. Thankfully, I reached out to somebody, found help, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like I like where you're going with this. Go ahead and get um start to like bunch episodes together, like reach out to people, get
Mhm.
get organized, like try to get 15 people so that you can really put this thing out. Like once you put out the first one, don't let there be a lag in between, like put one out
Yeah.
each week." And I was like, okay, cool. So from the time we talked, I reached out to people, and I was like, I came back to him. It was Donald, the voice, and I was like, hey, I got 30 people. And it's like I just recorded 5 this weekend. He's like, oh man, that's awesome. Like we had a
Yeah.
conversation. It was like I'm proud of not just like the passion, but it's like I'm proud of the execution that you're doing as a follow-up, because it's like you not only did what I told you to do, but you doubled in doing that. And
Mhm.
it's initially I was worried about like, oh, how's this gonna look? Like I'm using my webcam from my computer. It's kind of grainy. I tried a different webcam a few episodes ago, and it's like it didn't quite work out. And
Mhm.
I was like, just go back to what works. And even during the times now from 2020, everybody jumping on webcam, everybody's creating stuff. It's like there's not a lot of stuff that's like highly produced, but I think the
Mhm.
thing that comes through is the quality of people. Like
Yeah.
talking to everyday people, you see like the humanity in the other person, and you're like, I'm really learning more about myself as I'm learning about them. And I feel like each person that I talk to teaches me something, and I'm like, oh, okay, it gives me an
Yeah.
opportunity to reflect, to be like, huh, okay, I can do
Yeah.
this. Or like there's no sweat about it. So I believe this would be a good launching point for you to just be ready for this weekend, because you kind of shook off the cobwebs. You know who you are. You're a
Yeah.
passionate person, so you're
Yeah.
gonna do it with passion. And
Yeah.
is just revert back to some of the things you've already done, and just be authentic in that, and just step into it boldly, that this is
Mhm.
who I am. It doesn't matter who's in the room. And if you got to reach
Mhm.
out to the lady that's in that space that's
Yeah.
open, just reach out, because a lot of times we might put people on certain pedestals, and like
Mhm.
they may not even want to be on that pedestal. They're just like, hey, I just got here based on what I've been doing. The world might pick you up today and then just drop you tomorrow. So
Yeah. And
you got
she
this.
she follows me on Instagram. She's gonna be in the clubhouse too. So I'm just like,
Awesome.
how? How did I get here? But I truly believe in favor. I truly believe in um God placing people in your life to pull you up. So one of my friends, she helps people get school contracts. So you know how
Mm,
people contract themselves out. They usually go through
yeah,
a company, but
right.
she has master classes where she teaches you
Mhm,
how to do it yourself,
right.
and take out the middleman. And so every time she does stuff, she's always pulling me in. And I know that's her way of saying, you need to do this. I mean, she's told me, on the phone and via text, but she's always including me, always tagging my business, because I'm one of those people who have different accounts. I know there are people who like, you should have one account, but in my head, it makes sense to have separate accounts, because I have my private practice. That's really for parents,
Right.
and for people to learn more about speech therapy. But then my business to help people start their private practice, that's a whole nother thing.
Right.
And then my personal one, it is public, but it's more so for me and my colleagues, and for me to post some personal stuff.
Yeah.
So they all have their own purpose.
Hey,
Serve
that's
their own
smart.
purpose.
That's smart. You're not trying to just put everything in one bag and people are just like,
Yeah.
wait, one day she's here, another day she's
Yeah,
there. And it's
exactly.
like, what's going on here?
Because then you might have people that'll stop unfollowing you. You have to know your audience,
Right.
right? So since I have SLP behind my name, of course I have speech pathologists trying to follow me, because they're like, oh, another. So
Right.
why would I post about stuff that's really for parents
Right.
to my colleagues? Like, that doesn't work. So
Right.
anyway, but yeah, I think I know,
Yeah.
I've been overwhelming myself with looking what other people are doing and having all of this knowledge, and it's like, you just have to get out the boat and just go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is going to be my 2021. Look, we almost midway, and I'm just
Hey,
time to get out the boat.
you're on your way. You're rowing up to the shore. You're about to step out and just walk on dry land.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I guess I think I may have asked this before, but maybe I'll ask it in a different way. What would you say is something you gained from 2020?
The importance of time.
Mm.
The importance of time. I don't know about you, but because I'm involved in other things outside of my business, we had to step up. So the board for the National Black Association for Speech, Language, and Hearing. And so when we canceled our convention, it was just like, okay, what are we gonna do? And so I became very busy. And so my family was like, you're always on the phone, you're always doing something. And the more I saw like people passing away, whether it was COVID or just because it was their time, I had to like pivot. I'm like, okay, I want to be this career woman, but time is not on our side sometimes. And so I have just learned I need to be intentional about balance, about blocking out time to say, you know what? No, Saturdays are my family days.
Yeah.
Or if I'm going to do something on the weekend, it is going to be something small, something that won't take a lot out of me. And that's it. And
Right.
so I had to find that balance, because COVID shifted a lot of things, and it has caused people to, I feel, work more and a little harder. And so everything is gone online. So you're in a chair more, you're on a computer more. And so I have definitely the thought of just time and making time for my family and finding that balance, and being this serial entrepreneur, but also and building my career, but also like balancing family life. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Like, man, I don't even want to hold you too much longer on that one. I was just like, just tell the people where to find you. Let's just get out of here. But I like that, because when you talk about time, I recently went to an event that was canceled last year, but was able to be had this year with Eric Thomas, and like the phenomenal life that they do, like a retreat vacation,
Yeah.
but it's like vacation and learn.
Oh, the one in
And
Mexico?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Nice.
was able to make that. And like, I was telling my coach yesterday that I was very intentional about going into it with the right mind frame, because initially I
Mhm.
was like, I don't know if I want to go through all like the restrictions, doing the test to travel, getting there, wearing the mask the whole time. I was like maybe I just don't go. But I was like, no, like you've paid for it. You're going for these reasons, and
Mhm.
go in it with your right mind frame. And one of the things that he highlighted once we got there was um like COVID really revealed things. Like a lot of people see the
Mhm.
negative in it, and it's like it revealed a lot of things, and also it really put a focus on time, because we kind of forget being comfortable having our primary needs met, that everyone's guaranteed to die. Like
Mhm.
it may sound harsh, kind of like you were saying with like
Mhm.
diagnoses and disabilities that come up or people may have to work through, but it's like if you're going to be true and honest, it's like you're going to die. So write
Mhm.
down your death date and do something to live intentionally. People say things like seize the day, or like,
Mhm.
hey, like some people may say, oh, they're so optimistic, or they show up in a certain way. It's like, well, some people are more aware that tomorrow's not promised. So
Right.
showing up, respecting the small things that you do in your day to day, and respecting those around you. I think it really, those are some of the things that they spoke on that really resonate with me till now, because that was at the start of the month, end of April, and
Mhm.
I'm slowly going through and unpacking a lot of the things that were said. But I was like, I'll just go one page at a time of my notes, or I'll look at something, and if I just need to work through it through my day to day, I have a tendency to
Mhm.
plan a lot. But I was like, I can't clean I can't keep planning for life, or keep planning to plan. It's like if
Mhm.
I have something in
That's
my head,
me.
I just need to go do it. It's like I'll
Yep.
write it down, I'll journal it,
Mhm.
but I'm just gonna go do it. So it's like I said I need to pay this bill, or I need to call. I was like, okay, pick up the phone and call. Oh, there was a fee. It's like, okay, hey, got this fee. What's going on? And it's
Yeah.
okay, I got it done. That's the only thing that I did today. Like I did something that I set in my mind to do. And
Mhm.
even with podcasting now, it's like, oh, this would be great to do these things. So I was like, okay, let me see how I can get organized. I ordered
Mhm.
a podcast planner that somebody else had put out, and I was like, yeah, maybe I could do this in the future, but let me not be selfish, and let me get a tool from someone that's already done it more effectively than me. I
Mhm.
write down the dates in my calendar, break it out to the week, start maybe with the person's name, have like some questions or something like that. And I was like, I'll get to it as I plan it out, but it's like I'll plan a little bit and I'll do
Mhm.
more, plan a little bit, do more. And it's like if I don't have a chance to just like plan it out, write it out, like write out the script and everything, it's like
Mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Like life goes on, because I'm like, at least I've given myself the opportunity with this platform to just be like, you're talking with a person, so just be genuinely yourself. Like
Mhm.
say the things that you have in mind, and not having it overly planned. I think I gave you like two questions that I like to ask, but like
Yeah.
just having that fluidity of it. It's like there's no restraints on it. There's no like,
Mhm.
oh, like, hey, how do you feel about this political climate? And this is like, no, no, no. I'm
No,
not
yeah.
I'm not doing that. We're not, none of that. I think I told
Yeah.
somebody from work, they started going into something politically related. I was like, you can talk about it, but I'm not going to listen, or I'm not going to respond
Right.
the way that you think I'm supposed to respond. So it's like,
Mhm.
just to not upset you, I'm just like, no, no, you keep that to yourself. Like
Right.
I'm I'm different. Like I think different, I talk different, because I want to be different. Like I've
Right.
thought and talked the way that you're talking. So I'm not holding it against you. It's just, yeah, this year's different for me. So it's like
Yeah.
last year we got through a lot of things. I don't want to revisit any of that. What's
No.
done is done.
Right. What's dead is dead. Let's just just move on. And I'm hoping that not only this pandemic has given people or have shown people the importance of time,
Mhm.
time management, time balance, all of that, but I hope it helps other people to pivot. Like I'm pivoting. Like
Mhm.
it was like, okay, with my private practice, obviously my caseload took a dip for a little
Mhm.
bit, just not building it up. But in my head, I'm like, I can't be on this floor forever with these little babies. I can't put all into this and my parents still don't listen to me.
Sure.
Or they still don't they or they treat me unfairly because they know I'm mobile. Like not telling me your kid at school and I'm wasting gas, stuff like
Right.
that. Now, so I was like, okay, there has to be other ways to make money, but still keep my passion of being a therapist. And so that's what birthed the whole thing about, helping people start a private practice, because over these 5 years of having
Mhm.
my private practice, I can't tell you how many of my colleagues I have helped them start
Mhm.
and their practice. And there are a few of them, they were like, you need to make a business out of it. They said it years ago.
Right.
And so when I'm like baby crawling it right now, they're like, listen, you've been doing this. Just go do it. Like, I don't
Right.
know why you are so hesitant about that. And then just passive income. COVID has hit people different ways.
Mhm.
And then obviously the more I throw myself into Dave Shan's podcast and all this stuff like that, and listening to other entrepreneurs
Mhm.
and how they have pivoted, whether it was pre-COVID or in COVID,
Yeah.
I'm just like, there's something about online courses. I think I need to tap into that. There's something about having a t-shirt company. I might need to tap into that because
Mhm.
um, I see the uncomfortableness of relying on one source of income.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the resources out there, like clearly,
Mhm.
and because you watch him and follow him too. I just love David because he has these authentic conversations. Like you said, just let it flow. If you really listen to they're really just conversations and he records them and makes it a podcast.
Mhm.
But if you were listening to all these different types of entrepreneurs from all different fields,
Mhm.
they they did the same thing you and I are doing. Like
Yeah.
it's just and I love how I can look at it and say, okay, I see what David's doing. He is trying to show everybody
Mhm.
it's possible.
Yep.
You just got to go do it. Go out here and make this money. Like,
Right.
I think the one lady recently that blew my mind was the one, I forgot her name, but she did the vending machines. I
Mm.
didn't. I was in my car like, yo, that's a good source of income. Like,
Yeah.
who would have thought
That
that
still sticks with me to this day because every day at work I'm like hitting up the vending machine. I'm like,
you listen
I'm
to
gonna
that
be on
episode?
I'm gonna be on the other side of this one day because it's like I'm feeding it. I'm feeding it. It's like you're getting $2, you're getting $5, you getting,
Yeah,
and it's like it's you just slide your card,
yeah.
and I'm sure I'm
When
like,
she said
uh,
she bought her machines was on eBay or something, and I was
yeah,
just like, wait. Like I was
right,
driving. I love listening
under
to podcasts now. In my
500, I think she said.
yeah, I was in my car and I'm like listening, and I'm like, wait, what? And I mean, I felt like David and his partner. She was just like, yo, wait, let's
We
just
need to
go get
get
one.
right,
Just go get one. She
right.
was like, when we doing this? Let's go get one. I was like, what? And I can't believe this. And so um it all starts with an idea, but at the end of the day, in the words of Eric Thomas, execution is worship.
Yeah,
You just gotta go. Everyone started from humble beginnings.
right.
Everybody doesn't start on top. And I'll give you a saying my uncle taught me,
Mm,
and I use it all the time. He says that the only time you start on top is when you're digging a hole.
mm, that's good.
So yeah, and he told me that. Oof, probably before I hit college. And that has just always stuck with me. Like, you have to, everyone starts at the bottom at some point in time.
Yeah.
So if you think you're going to start at the top, then you're probably going the opposite direction.
Right. That's good. I feel like that's definitely encouraging. The only time you start at the top is when you're digging a hole. Like, man. Whew. I gotta let that
Drop
breathe.
mic. That's one
Right.
of those.
I gotta let that breathe. But it's like on that note, let the people know where they can find you.
Awesome. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Sassy SLP. That stands for Speech Language Pathologist. My private practice is called Here to Speak. That's HEAR. And you can find me on Instagram as well, at Here to Speak LLC. And then my new and upcoming business, Here to Speak Academy, is also on Instagram and Facebook. And I'm learning about TikTok. You can come follow me at Sassy SLP on there too, and see how my humble beginnings of figuring out TikTok. And I'm also Sassy SLP on Twitter as well, but I'm a little reckless on Twitter.
Awesome.
That's
I'll definitely make sure to link all those in the description for people to just be able to like click and play, connect with you.
yeah.
I'd say definitely continue doing your thing. Best of luck tomorrow, and don't be afraid to reach out to a coach, or just if you need help in that department, because I know you mentioned all three, and I don't know if you're doing it all by yourself, but if you are, and like running the businesses as well, it can be a lot to juggle, but
Yeah.
keep doing your thing.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here and having this great conversation with you.
Likewise. Take care.
All right, you too.